Possible before we have to wrap up. So please join me in welcoming to the stage one of the stars of To the Wonder, Rachel McAdams. And another one of the stars of To the Wonder, Olga Kurylenko. Start off, it's so interesting in the film, you don't really have any scenes together, and yet there's some sort of chemistry between these two characters, some sort of psychic connection. I'm wondering if you can speak to the experience of making the film, but also that sort of surreal process of not actually being in the same frame with other characters.
You want to say about it?
Well, we were just reminiscing about our one scene that we actually did have that didn't make the final cut. And how sad we are that it's not there.
We did have a couple of scenes together, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're not there. I guess, would you be able to sit another hour?
There's plenty more.
Or another 5 hours? I think there's enough material.
Are there any questions from the audience? Yes, up in the balcony. So the question is about the movement in the film, not only of the camera, but of your characters, and whether or not this was fully scripted or choreographed, or whether it was something more natural and spontaneous.
Well, Terry always spoke to us about what the scene was about, and all the movements. Well, in my case, he constantly asked me to move, and I could never sit down and stop because I had to portray someone whose mind is never at rest. I don't know if you get this in the movie, but my character is not quite well. She has a very big tendency to melancholia and even being slightly depressed. Actually, while filming, I got a bigger picture of it because we filmed a lot of scenes where you can really see her going into the darkness. In the ending result, somehow it's lighter, but while I filmed, I was very surprised to see the result that it wasn't as dark as I thought. She's really a little bit nuts. So that's why always jumping and moving, and she's doing things that normal people don't do. So it was requested, but the way I moved, of course, wasn't. I was given lots of freedom, so I could just do it my way, the way I see my character, which Terry gave us a lot of base before we started working at it. Because we spoke a lot, and he basically pitched the character to me through words. I never read the script. So.
Yeah, I don't have the luxury of being able to say my character was nuts, and that's why I was doing all of that movement. But I think for a different reason, Terry talked to me about doing the dance of joy sometimes, and he allowed me to interpret that as I would. So it was great. He would just sort of throw out an idea, and then you get to interpret it through movement, which is a way I've never ever worked before, and I really enjoyed. So, yeah.
Great. Any other questions? Yes, over there. Yes.
So I found the film very interpretive, and I was just wondering what the film meant, like what meaning you guys take away from the film. Because I guess I have a different one, so I was just curious as to being in the film, what you took away from it.
The question is about, the film has a very interpretive quality, and what did you take away from your roles and from the larger meaning of the film?
Well, I was very worried about not being able to come out of my character. So that was my biggest fear. I just kept thinking, oh, don't stay that way, don't stay that way, don't stay that way. Come back to yourself, because for 2.5 months I was just submerged into this woman who was just constantly up and down and screaming and crying and then laughing and jumping, and it was and I really lived it. At some point it became really scary. But you do learn, well, it's just, you learn about life and relationships and how nothing is eternal, and relationships are never stable, even when they seem like they are, because it's just unnatural. It can never be on one level. It goes up and down, and you see the relationships between Neil and Marina. They fall out of love, and then they fall in love again. And actually, it does happen in real life too. But I guess there are a lot to be said about it. The movie is very long, and I could keep going for hours.
I think that's what's great about Terry's films, is that I don't know that he's telling you exactly how to feel about it or exactly what to think about it. I feel like he's mining moments in life that most of us can probably relate to, and they kind of wash over you sometimes, or you miss it completely because it's not something you've experienced, or so I think it's a very kind of earthy, unexpected experience sometimes watching these films, and it's hard to sum up what it is exactly, but I know for my character, we were childhood friends who rekindle, and then he's tethered to his past. That's a basic outline that I was given and that I can share, and beyond that, it's a free-for-all. So.
Any other questions? Yes.
This story, the basic bones of it are rooted in Terrence Malick's own life. Did he speak about that in any detail, about how he was essentially telling the story of his ill marriage to his French wife and the subsequent relationship that developed between he and his French wife? Did he talk about that to any degree, about what he was doing to this?
So the question is about to what degree the film was based on Terrence Malick's own life, and whether or not he spoke to both of you about that element in preparing these roles.
You should ask Terrence about this. I guess if it concerns his personal life, I wouldn't want to step,
Yeah, he always made it very much about our characters, and you got the sense that, he was personally invested in all of these lives and in that exploration, but he never made it about himself.
Any other questions? Yes, right here. So the question is about whether or not you found it challenging to develop these characters, given how little dialogue there was in the film.
well, actually, you probably spoke more than me. But we did, there was much more talking. It just didn't end up in the movie. Because, again, as I said, I think I probably talked for another 3 hours. It might be a little too much, but there was a lot. Terrence always spoke to me about silence and how silence is very often stronger than words. Sometimes I would try to speak in the scene, and he would tell me, "Shh, don't speak. Please don't say it." And I would say, "Why? You just gave me 30 pages of text this morning." And he'd be like, no, but it's all there. You don't have to. It's so much better if you don't say it. He said, if you say it, you'll spoil it. He thinks it's stronger. He said, just show it in your eyes and your body. He just don't say it. It's his way of making movies. That's what he believes in. He believes that silence is stronger. And also, when I thought about it, I thought that the reason behind it might be that the words can lie and the body can't. the eyes can't lie. There's no way to portray a feeling without words if you don't feel them. But you can say you're feeling something without feeling it. Because people lie all the time.
And he would give us a lot of background for our characters. So, you know, you could just sort of think it and it was there. And he sort of took you through it so much that you didn't, you know, need to say it out loud necessarily.
That's true, it was all in us. From the moment we stepped on set, well, we started working with him, I think we were characters, so he could film us anytime at 6 a.m. or at 2 a.m. We were still those people. I feel it wasn't, it was something that didn't have to be rehearsed, because we just lived it all the time. That's his way of working. He told me, "Are you okay if I come, if we come to your room at 6 a.m.? You okay being without makeup and hair, because we might come in and you'll wake up and see the camera. We'll be filming you." And I said, "Yeah, sure, fine." But he never did it. But I think it was a metaphor about his way of working. That's how he does it. He can film you anytime. That meant that basically, even when I wake up, I had to be character. I had to be Marina. You just live it. There's no way, you can't stop.
It's an intense process.
It's very intense, but it's at the same time wonderful, and, right?
Yeah.
And scary.
Terrifying.
Depends what character you portray.
I think we have time for one more quick one. Over there.
Hi, Olga, what is your ethnic background?
The question is about Olga's background.
My background? I was born in Ukraine, and then I immigrated to France, and I lived in France for 13 years, and then now I'm traveling.
I think we can squeeze in one more since that was a quick one. Yes, over there.
Thank you for making the movie. I've had experiences with both of your characters.
Is there a question?
You alluded to the darkness in your character that wasn't fully represented in the final cut. Can you talk about whether you went towards something like borderline or histrionics, or was it something more vague and abstract? And Rachel, what did you pull from the past experience in your kid's room? Was it a sort of mirror relationship, or was it something like an outside thought of the original?
So there's one question for Olga, which is about, you spoke to this darkness that you thought your character had, particularly even in the things that didn't end up in the film, and whether or not it sort of verged on some sort of hysterical or actual psychological breakdown. And for Rachel, the question is about how you understood that relationship between the present relationship and the past. Was it a mirror relationship? Was it a rebirth? We could start with Olga.
Yeah, there were actually quite a lot of moments that we filmed that were quite hysterical. That's what was very scary about it. I mean, I can't even start to explain. We would really fight with Ben, and I would throw things, and I would cut myself and bleed, and I had bruises on my
I know, I would come on to set and they were both beaten up and bleeding, and I was like, "How's it going here today?"
I did quite crazy stuff. I destroyed the whole apartment, ripped packets of cereal apart. It was all over the place. I mean, and it was quite... to me, I was absolutely sure that my character was hysterical, but in the end, in the final cut, it's not, you can't see it. So maybe... The thing is, Terrence films so much material that after he has material enough to make 5 movies or 6 movies, and I think he has a choice in the editing room, and I think he decided to go for this version in the end. But he could make a much darker movie from everything that is in his possession. There's a completely different story out there too.
Probably 10.
Yeah, probably 10. There's there's much more material than is needed for one movie. Way more.
It's incredible, actually, how much he can accomplish in a day, how much he can get shot in a day. I mean, it's extraordinary because, you know, you think that movies need so much money and so much scope these days, and they can be this huge machine, but he's found this lovely way to shoot so much. I mean, we go from the shopping mall to the Bison in one day, or in 2 hours even, and to be able to turn on a dime like that and be so malleable and flexible, I think is really rare in filmmaking today, and something I've never ever come across before. So just in that, I think he's such a mature, but yeah.
Would you like to speak to the question about the relationship and how you understood it in terms of the earlier past relationship and the new relationship?
Terry could probably speak to this better than me, but from what he told me, you know, we were childhood friends / sweethearts, and that we were kind of meant to be together, kind of soulmates, but doesn't necessarily mean you wind up together. So, so yeah, I think it was a rekindling of the past, but also a second chance, and you know, a chance to kind of make a life together, and then it just didn't quite get there.
Film always seems to be reaching for something, but not quite getting there.
Which is so true in life. It's not necessarily what you try to achieve that you will achieve it. It's kind of sad, but that's how it is. It's the same thing with Marina and Neil. They don't make it even though they love each other. There are other factors that come in. That it's very sad to say that love is not enough, but sometimes it isn't.
And just before we wrap up, I'd like to invite out onto the stage two of the producers of To the Wonder, Sarah Green and Nick Gonda. In thanking Olga Kurylenko, McAdams, and the producers of To the Wonder for joining us tonight.